ever feel like, especially here in Singapore, some buildings are working against us in this heat?
Totally. It's like they're trapping all the heat, right?
Exactly. And that's actually a problem that Natalie Phoon tackles head-on in her master's thesis, which we're diving into today, about this really cool concept, well, more like cool and wet, called water-wind facades.
I love it already, and it
Yeah.
gets even better. She takes inspiration from elephants for these facades.
Elephants. Okay, now I have to hear more.
You know how elephants have that amazing wrinkly skin, right?
Yeah, and those big flapping ears.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And those aren't just random evolutionary quirks. They actually play a huge role in regulating the elephant's body temperature.
So like a natural cooling system.
Precisely. The bumps and crevices on their skin, those large ears, they increase the surface area, which helps with both cooling and water retention.
So is that where the water part of the water-wind facades comes in?
You got it. Phoon takes these principles from nature and applies them to building design. It's all about working with nature, not against it. She calls this approach bioadaptive design.
Bioadaptive design. Okay. So how does water actually fit into all of this?
Water is like a thermal superhero.
Okay. Tell me more about water being a superhero.
It has this amazing ability to absorb massive amounts of heat before its own temperature changes significantly, even more than things like leaves.
Wow, I never realized that about water.
Yeah, it's called high heat capacity.
Right.
And by incorporating water into the facade, Phoon is basically creating a giant natural cooling system.
Okay, but we've all seen what happens when water just sits around in a building. Things get moldy, right?
And that's where the wind part comes in, but we'll get to that a bit later.
All right, fair enough. But before we go too far, for anyone who might not be familiar, can we define urban heat islands? What are they, and why should we be worried?
Picture a city as this massive heat-absorbing machine, kind of like a giant heat sink. All the concrete, asphalt buildings, they soak up heat during the day and then radiate it out at night.
And that makes cities way hotter than surrounding, less developed areas?
Exactly. And for a place like Singapore, already in a tropical climate, it's a recipe for seriously intense heat. We're talking temperatures up to 4 degrees Celsius higher because of this effect.
4 degrees. That's huge. No wonder it feels so much hotter walking around the city center.
Right. And it's not just about comfort.
True, there are some major consequences too, right?
That's a whole domino effect.
Yeah.
Higher temperatures mean we crank up the AC. More AC use equals more energy consumption. And how do we produce a lot of that energy?
Fossil fuels, which, as we all know, lead to even more greenhouse gas emissions, which in turn makes the planet hotter.
Exactly. So it's this vicious cycle that Phoon is trying to break with her work.
Makes total sense. Now, we've seen a lot of green walls popping up on buildings, which seems like a step in the right direction. How do those play into this whole urban heat island problem?
Green walls are great, don't get me wrong. Adding greenery definitely helps, but they have their limitations.
Okay, so what are the downsides to green walls?
Well, as Phoon points out in her thesis, they're not a perfect solution. For one, they're expensive to install and maintain. Plants need constant care, and if they're not properly managed, you're looking at a whole lot of dead plants, which kind of defeats the purpose, right?
Yeah, not exactly a great look.
And even when they're thriving, they don't fully address the complex interplay of energy, water, and carbon cycles in an urban environment. It's a good start, but not the ultimate solution.
Okay, so that's where these water-wind facades come in. So we talked about the water part being inspired by elephants. What exactly does a water-wind facade look like, and how does it actually work?
Picture this. Imagine vertical panels of water, almost like a waterfall, built right into the building's exterior.
Wow, that's beautiful. So not just functional, but visually stunning, too.
Exactly. It's about bringing that element of nature right into the urban landscape, and there's a reason for that,
Oh, right. Because of that biophilic design concept we talked about, that humans have an innate connection to nature.
Exactly. We're drawn to things like the sound of water, the way light plays on its surface. It has a calming, restorative effect on us.
It makes you wonder why we ever thought those sterile concrete boxes were a good idea for buildings.
Right. Especially hospitals, which can be so stressful to be in.
Speaking of hospitals, you mentioned that Phoon actually applied her water-wind facade idea to a real hospital ward, right?
She did. As a case study for her thesis, she chose the C ward at Changi General Hospital, which is known for being, well, quite warm.
Interesting choice. Why that particular ward?
It has a few things working against it. For one, it has a deep floor plan that tends to trap air, making natural ventilation a challenge. And then there's the fact that it's positioned in a way that receives a lot of direct sunlight throughout the day.
And if I remember correctly from a previous deep dive we did on that hospital, it also has some surrounding structures that kind of cut off the natural airflow, right?
Exactly. It's like a perfect storm of thermal challenges, which actually makes it a brilliant case study.
I see what you mean. It's like if her design can tackle this, it can tackle anything. But okay, so walk me through how she actually envisioned this whole water-wind facade working at Changi General.
Well, in addition to those stunning water panels cascading down the building, she also incorporated an extended pond into the courtyard design.
Which is not just there to look pretty, I'm guessing.
Definitely not. It actually acts as a giant cooling basin,
Yeah.
helping regulate the temperature of the surrounding air, almost like a mini ecosystem.
So a natural AC unit.
Exactly. It's all about working with the natural environment, not against it.
Pretty amazing stuff. But I have to ask, and I know our listeners are probably wondering the same thing, all this talk of water features integrated into a building, what about the practicalities? Leaks, mold, all that fun stuff.
You're absolutely right to raise those concerns, and thankfully Phoon addressed them in her thesis. It's not just a free-for-all with the water, right? Her design involves offsetting the water layer from the walls. So no direct contact, which minimizes the risk of things like moisture damage and mold.
Smart.
Plus, her design maximizes natural ventilation within the facade structure itself, so everything stays nice and dry.
So it's less about adding water to the building and more about using it in a smart, controlled way.
You got it. But it gets even better. For the facade material itself, she suggests using these really cool recycled glass panels.
Now that's thinking about sustainability from all angles.
Okay, I have to ask, what's so special about these recycled glass panels? I mean, wouldn't any glass do?
This is where we circle back to those elephants.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued.
Remember how we talked about those bumps and crevices on their skin that help with cooling? Well, Phoon proposes using a specific type of recycled glass that's made with a process called tack fusing, which...
Tag fusing, okay. It's basically a more energy-efficient way of producing glass. But here's the cool part. It also creates these really interesting textures on the glass bumps, ripples, all sorts of things.
So it mimics the texture of elephant skin. That's brilliant.
Exactly. It's not just about being sustainable. It's about integrating that sustainability into the design itself.
So we're being eco-friendly and getting this beautiful functional design element. I love it. But where does the circularity part come in? You mentioned that earlier.
Right. So Phoon's design also incorporates a rainwater collection system.
Oh, that's smart.
The water used in the facade is constantly being replenished and filtered, so it's a closed-loop system.
Amazing. It's like she's thought of everything.
But wait, we haven't even talked about the carbon footprint of all this yet. Does her thesis address that?
It does, and it's actually my favorite part. Remember how we were talking about urban heat islands being directly linked to those increased carbon emissions? Well, get this. Phoon's design actually helps address that too.
Really, I'm all ears. She proposes incorporating magnesium oxide into the water system. Now, magnesium oxide basically acts like a carbon sponge.
A carbon sponge, what do you mean?
Essentially, as the water circulates through the system, the magnesium oxide dissolves and actually captures carbon dioxide from the air, transforming it into magnesium carbonate.
So the facade is not only cooling the building, but it's cleaning the air too.
Precisely.
This is amazing.
Then it gets even better. The magnesium carbonate byproduct can then be filtered out of the water and potentially even used in things like landscaping.
Wait, hold on. So we've gone from a building that's contributing to the problem to a building that could actually be carbon negative.
You got it. And this is all just from a master's thesis. Imagine if this was implemented on a larger scale.
So instead of adding to the problem, these buildings could actually be part of the solution.
Absolutely. And think about it from a human perspective, especially in hospitals. Those sterile white walls, the artificial lighting.
Not exactly the most uplifting environment for healing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now imagine replacing that with these beautiful water features, the gentle sounds of flowing water, natural light filtering through those textured glass panels.
It would completely transform the whole experience of being in a hospital.
Exactly. And remember we talked about how magnesium oxide has that cool luminescent property? Phoon even suggests incorporating that into the design.
Oh, right. So instead of harsh artificial light at night, you'd have this gentle glow coming from, like, the courtyard pond.
Precisely. It's a much more calming and therapeutic environment, which can actually aid in the healing process.
That's incredible. It's like we're finally starting to understand that our surroundings have a real impact on our well-being. It's not just about practicality, but about creating spaces that actually nurture us.
Exactly. And here's the thing. Phoon's thesis may have focused on hospitals, but why stop there?
Right. This concept could be applied to so many other types of buildings: schools, office buildings, apartment complexes.
Imagine if all new construction incorporated these bioadaptive principles, especially here in the tropics and in other parts of the world, with similar climates.
It could be a game changer in the fight against urban heat islands and climate change, not to mention just creating more enjoyable spaces for people.
Absolutely. And it really makes you wonder, what other natural phenomena are we overlooking?
Right, like what if we could design buildings that mimic the way a forest creates its own microclimate, or how termite mounds stay cool even in the desert?
Now, those are some exciting questions. This whole deep dive has really opened my eyes to the incredible possibilities when we start looking to nature for solutions. Phoon's work is a powerful reminder that sometimes the most innovative ideas are right in front of us. We just need to know where to look.
Absolutely. It's not every day you come across an idea that has the potential to revolutionize an entire field, but this feels like one of those moments. This is definitely something we'll be keeping an eye on. And for our listeners, if you want to dive deeper into bioadaptive design and explore Natalie Phoon's thesis, we'll be sure to include a link in the show notes.
Definitely worth checking out.
Thanks for joining us for another exciting deep dive. We'll see you next time.